everything I own now. Of course, I don't own anything, but this Emery man won $300 for winning that race. So the drivers were jumping all over us at a meeting we had one time after that year, and we brought up. They were telling us we were no damn good, the drivers, and some of them, you know. I tell you, I think we had more friends than you might think. Seriously, because we paid pretty good money for them days. Of course, I'm getting out of the first 10 years too, because they got bigger, the purses. But our purses were much higher than anybody around at the time. And but anyway.
And I assume that was by design. You wanted to just draw the best from the area, didn't you?
Huh?
You figured if you could draw the good racers, you'd get the crowds. And with the crowds, you had to have the good racers.
Well, the guys wanted us to have another track so we'd have another payday for them.
Right.
And so but Emery got that $300 that first night. He never got the money in his pocket. But he talked to a friend of his, real close to him, was Leonard Briggs. And he said, "You guys didn't do us a good night on your crowd, did you?" And Leonard said, "No, we did pretty rotten, really. How he's going to pay that, I don't know, but Emery pulled us out of it anyway." He told Leonard he found out what he was going to get for winning. He said, "You keep it, so you fit to." So I was telling about it at a meeting we was having down there one night, and Emery said, I told about, well, some of you guys like this, because I remember one guy let us use his money for a while because $300, and Emery got up and he says, "I'm sorry, but," he says, "I never did collect that, did I?" I always remember that. I mean, those guys had some fun together. I mean, it was all, we worked like hell, honest to God. It's unbelievable how hard we worked to get our money, but no times of night and putting calcium in the track, and I don't know how the hell we bought a bag of calcium sometimes. But we must have did pretty good the first 4 or 5 years, because we started out with junk cable and junk stuff cut out of the woods for guardrails, and somehow we got through with all them bad years. I think a demolition show, maybe the first summer we opened up in the fall of '56 when we had our demolition, I think...
I don't think so.
Huh?
I'd question that.
You question it? I don't blame you for questioning it. I wanted to...
If you remember, in the fall that year, we had 150 lap team races.
You had a team race.
We had a team race.
Yeah.
And some of the guys had older cars, and Paul Wilson, I think he had an old 51 Plymouth or something. I think Frank Roman's always Chevy man, but he had that. And we put the two together.
Yeah.
Grace, now I can't even remember who won. Joe Sonner?
Sonner and Sammy.
Yeah.
Did you find that because you guys were up near the track, you prepared the track, you were in the pits, you were the guys that were right there. Was it common at the end of a race when the folks got into the pits that the drivers would get out and there'd be a little pushing and shoving and some energy?
Never.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if there's any. I think things ran pretty calm. I'm not saying there was never a fight in the pit, but
Tell us how you guys ran the concession stands and all that at the beginning when you first opened up in '56. Did you have concession stands?
Well, we gave them all out to the fire department in Sherwood. I know that the first year. Yeah, I mean, it got to be too much for them to run, and then we switched to other ways of getting somebody in there to run a front concession stand, the back concession stand, and split it up. Popcorn here and popcorn, a couple of deals there, and I guess that's the best way for me to tell it in the jury. But
Yeah,
anyway.
they don't do the french fries like they used to.
Oh, God, they don't.
They were the
Potatoes,
best.
they put them in a thing and they pushed it down.
Oh,
Of course, we had the pit.
Cups.
We had the pit.
vinegar. Oh, God.
They made them all down here in the
Really?
Sugar Grove Fire Department had that.
We had the pit stand to worry about that time too, you know. Of course, and the bath. I don't know.
What fire departments were involved in that besides Sugar Grove?
Must I don't know right at the first if they were, but Sugar Grove was. And who had the beer stand?
Yeah, we let them have that too.
I think so.
Bust Eye?
No,
Or
Sugar Grove.
Sugar Grove had the beer
I
stand?
can't remember when Bust-I came in, but they had some of the concessions on the back straightaway, but I don't know, it wasn't, not to start with, I don't think. The bleachers was only 5 high around, on the back straightaway and the front side, that's all they were, 5 seats high. And they were all, uprights were all come out of the woods, which we found out later that that ain't the way to go. Because after 3 or 4 or 5 years they rotten, so you gotta replace them. I don't know how many times we replaced them bleachers. Every year we had to redo the seat boards and the, but one thing we did have, we had, and Franny's got them today because it's our design, but we had, you can get in and on our bleachers and off them a lot better than you can most of the bleachers that you go to, the tracks you go to. Because they're wider footboards. They're 20, I'm gonna say 22 inches. Back in them days, we figured 1.5 feet for a seat. Now I bet you.
You know that-
Seats are, now it takes.
That road that leads to the Speedway,
Courtright
where
Road.
you went up there, that Courtright Road. You hardly dared to meet a motorcycle on that road when we first went up on that road. We tried to keep the road up ourselves. It was just a cow path down to the honest to God. No drainage in the ditches, and yep,
We used to.
2 vehicles could get by,
We
but
had to water that road.
Oh, all the way up to that whole road? Oh,
yeah,
Gosh,
Both directions?
wow.
we watered it and did every damn thing we could to
Then-
control dust.
Then
And
we started getting a little bit of money, I don't know what year that was, and then we got the guy down there, Beach, down in Warren, he started oiling it for us, we had to pay for the oil, but we watered that road to keep the dust down there to
Wow.
start with, Don remembers that.
Were there any houses on the road?
I don't think there was,
I don't think down the lower end
just on
from
the end maybe.
New York State coming in,
Yeah.
I don't know if there's hardly any houses that way, but
No, there wasn't any.
wasn't any. I don't know. We had to get our own electricity put in up there and everything.
I was gonna, Mrs. Briggs is how we got our electricity.
I know you're wondering how the heck we got money when we didn't have no money.
It cost us $1,200.
We had a lot of friends. They backed us.
Well, it must have been, was that?
No. I wanted to ask you about that. I read an article that Leonard wrote one time. And he was talking about the electricity getting put up in there. Now, he never mentioned that his mother loaned the money, but he said you bought the telephone poles at REA in Warren. What is REA?
RE Electric. That's Youngsville.
Oh, Youngsville? It's an,
Yeah.
it was an electric company?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh.
They're still in business. In fact, the guy up on the corner of the corner house, that brick house on the corner, he's an engineer down there.
How old was your?
Briggs give us $1,200 to get the, otherwise we couldn't have come up with that money. You remember, wasn't it $1,200?
Oh, a lot of surprises came up on prices of stuff too. How the hell we pulled through it? But we'd have a list at the end of this fall. Every one of us would be signed a couple, 3 people to see at least every year a piece, and tell them we didn't have no money. That's all we did. Every fall when we owed people a lot of money and we knew we weren't going to give them a goddamn nickel all through the winter,
Yeah, but I
we
don't
just
think
went to them and talked to them. We
I
talked
don't
to them,
think
and that's
Don, that wasn't very long. That wasn't like it was 3 or 4 years. I think it was just basically it was the first year. It was Darrell owned where Wilcox Brother is down there now. He owned that. He owned a sawmill in Wrightsville, and he had a bulldozer, and he did all the bulldozing up there. And,
Why did you, just a question about, as you set up the track, all of a sudden one side had beer and the other didn't. Was that by design?
We wanted that way to try to separate the crowd.
Okay. Make it family friendly.
In fact, you're going around the third and fourth turn of State Line, walking for a long, long time. We had a person standing there, not trying to keep young kids out of there and everything else. Not that we did it perfect. We tried.
Yeah.
the first night, or maybe, I don't know, maybe it was more than that, they had to go through the pits to get over there because they couldn't go around that electric chain. Remember, there's so much water down there at that end of the track. They had to go through the pit. You remember that? No.
Do you remember, you also at one point you put up a men's room and a ladies' room, and you had such a big crowd. I remember that people standing on the roofs.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I wish to hell they would have been standing on the roof when we quit. Ruining our roofs and fixed every goddamn... You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They just ruined our roofs. I don't know how many years.
I don't think Jerry, when we were talking to you, at one point you guys decided you'd had enough. You know, you and Lloyd and Leonard, and what was that? What precipitated the four of you to decide to get out of the
Well, there was only three at that point.
Or three, I guess.
Lloyd had died by the time you sold the track.
Yeah.
It was just you and Don and Leonard at that point. Why did you decide to get out at that time and sell it to Franny?
We
We were tired of it.
Well, that's about it. We was tired, and we had to make some big decisions because our late model class was down to about 15, 16 cars, and our sportsman class was down to that same. So what we did, we decided, we made these rules that we're going to do away with the sportsman class, and that was going to bring more cars into the late models. And then we started the cadet class, and the cadet class just took off like, but who was responsible for that cadet class is that Kreitzer out there on 957. He's in the excavating business. He was one of our pit stewards, and he came up with that class, and it took off, and it was, of course, we never run it. I mean, we sold the track in that fall, Franny.
Did you go to State Line
And that
regular?
class took off, and it had, I think it had around 50 cars or so.
It looked like I've seen you
So
before.
you guys had decided to get rid of the sportsman class?
Yeah.
I always thought Franny had decided that.
No, because Franny had a sportsman. He didn't want to get rid of it.
But he was going to own the track.
I know, but we'd already made
know?
up the rules in the middle of the summer when he bought it. Yeah, he had a sportsman car himself.
Yeah, I knew that.
Did you advertise it, or was it just that you knew that Franny was interested?
No, I don't know how that came up, but we was going to sell him Erie. And that stupid me, not really stupid me, we was going to keep one of the tracks. And Franny, he didn't like the little deal with Erie, I guess, and I said, well, why the hell don't you buy State Line then? So we came up and looked this situation over. I think he still hollers about us cutting all the timber off of it.
Oh, yeah. I know he does.
And I don't even know when we cut it off. I can't remember if we cut it off in the spring or the year before or what. It wasn't nothing illegal about it, I can tell you.
There's one thing
In fact, that's how we cut a lot of timber off that when we first bought it to get some money. And then we'd also cut the timber off to build the bleachers and the guardrails. But then, of course, the ones to do that actually were too small for timber anyway, you know. I mean, they were probably, 14 or 15 inches at the base when you're doing timber? I think so. But, no, it actually, Franny, I can't say anything bad about, I can say a lot of things bad about Franny, but as far as doing what he said he was gonna do in our agreement, 100%.
What'd you sell it for?
Why did we
No,
sell?
no, what did you sell it for? Do you remember what you sold the track for in '84?
120, I think, if I remember right, wasn't it? So what did we sell that track for? 120?
I never did know exactly. I think it wasn't over 25 more than that.
I think it was 120.
Franny.
Did you miss it? Did you miss it? I mean, after you sold it, did you go back to the track? Did you go and that stuff?
17 years of it.
Okay. You stay involved. Did you go, Don?
No, he never came back.
I don't go. I go to watch Chubb run, and Chubb never liked Chubb too good. He probably liked him as well as anybody he had, but because he don't like nobody, that guy.
Yeah, Franny, yeah.
Yeah, he's talking about
Franny,
Franny.
yeah.
Have you heard that before?
Of all the guys,
From Chubb, yeah.
of all the guys, the
All I can say is money. His word's good. His money's good,
problem with
and he makes a deal with you. He sticks by it, but
Barton,
so I can't say everything bad about him. We could have sold somebody I wouldn't have bought.
Hoffman's.
yeah, everybody that could draw people for him. I know that Jennifer always when Chubb was running the Stars, she would always make sure that Chubb called her if he was coming back here to race because maybe it rained out or something. So they knew that he drew people for him.
Yeah.
And, Dick drew people for him. And today they fall, not Jennifer, but Franny. He's such a Richard anyway. I mean, you know what I mean? Why fight with the damn people that are drawing you people? That's what he was. He's still...
He's a funny guy.
In your group, who sort of ran the relationship with the drivers? You two guys, Lloyd and Leonard. Who was the guy that was sort of dealing one-on-one with the drivers when there was disputes or stuff like that?
It was between him and Leonard.
Leonard?
I'd say that.
Basically.
Yeah, Leonard was the guy that had to make the final call.
Yeah, he usually did.
Yeah, more or less. We weren't too hard to get along with ourselves.
Yeah.
We weren't too hard to get along with. We stayed in 28 years, 4 of us.
I guess that's great. Yeah.
You have a lot of, I've had people say, well, you're stubborn. Well, you're not stubborn by God if you're in business with somebody, 3 other guys for 28 years. I mean, you got a lot of give and take, I'll tell you that.
Was there as you guys ran the track, were there nights when something would have occurred that scared you? I mean, a big accident, something you recall that said, my God, what kind of business we into? Do you have a recollection, Don, of a time when you were very concerned about something that happened on the track or in the stands?
I don't know how to answer that. I don't hear real good right now.
Well, was there something that, like, when I'm thinking when Eddie Kisco's event, something that would have scared, you're an owner of a track and you see something out there that, wow, you stopped the race and there was a big accident or something. Was there a time like that?
Oh, I think there's probably times when I'm thinking of the Erie right now. Jim Scott lost a wheel. A big long race, and it could have been awful bad.
Just one time. And I've seen the Scott deal and all of them. There was only one time. It was the night that...
Was you up there that night?
No.
Dick Litz full bore down at the end of the back straightaway.
Who hit who?
Ronnie hit.
Dick.
Dick went through the infield and stirred up a whole bunch of dust. And then he got sideways right on the infield. Basically, he was off the racetrack, I think. Blackmer hit him full bore right there. Blackmer knocked him out, and that was the only time I was ever scared around the racetrack.
Yeah.
Well, I was scared once. It scared the hell out of me. Of course, when I saw him walking away from it, I don't know if he wasn't in an ambulance, but Blackmer was putting skydiving jump on. That scared the hell out of me because when he landed in the infield, they jumped in the infield, and he landed squarely on his rear end, and it's a wonder he didn't break his goddamn neck.
Who did that?
Blackmer.
Blackmer.
Yeah, he would jump with Tage and them or something.
He jumped. Blackmer jumped out of a plane.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Wish we'd known that when we were at his house last night.
Huh?
We were at his house last night. He never mentioned that, but he did talk about that wreck you were just
he was scared
describing. He said it was a bad one.
Yeah. That was a bad one. That was scared me.
Yeah.
Because I remember at the time I said, I don't want nothing to do with this goddamn racing.
What do you remember the night when Eddie Kisco? Yeah.
That didn't scare me. Not like that one I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a bad wreck, but.
Oh, yeah, there
it
was.
was just like.
There's probably a few times.
Somewhat like that wreck was on NASCAR a couple of weeks ago. When Newman, you know the wreck I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He came down on the top of the hood and it cushioned that race. In fact, I made a comment at the time. If he'd have come down on the blacktop, that would have been a hell of a lot worse wreck.
Right.
He come down and got cushioned. And that's the same what happened to Kisco deal. He come down on the top of Emery's hood and it cushioned that deal.
What was I? Run that through again. I'm trying to think. Eddie explained a little bit, but what was the setup there? What happened?
Well, if I... Somebody was sitting right past the flag stand a few feet. Was it Kisco? Or was it another car? And he come up and he went over and put him upside down and he came down on the nose of Emery's car. Was there somebody sitting there? Kisco wasn't sitting there. Was there another car sitting there that he run up on top of?
I don't know. I think so,
Flipped
Jerry.
him over, and he came right down on Emery's car. And I figured that it cushioned that wreck quite a lot. Even though Kisco's car was tore up quite good. How's Eddie doing?
Okay. He's
got to be getting up there.
He's in his 82.
82.
Huh?
I think he was 82. Kind of quiet, very quiet guy.
He's in the candy business.
That's right.
Yeah, he told us about that.
Huh?
Yeah, he told us. Yeah.
I got to tell you, Don, you've got quite a memory here. We've talked to Jerry before, but you have a great recall. Of way back when. You may probably, like us, we can't remember what we did this afternoon, but...
I remember things way back, but I don't remember what the hell happened a couple hours ago. Well, I do because my wife was around. I know what's going on when she's around. But
do you remember anybody ever taking movies?
Gordon?
Movies?
Well, wait a minute.
He took pictures.
Did he ever take movies? I don't think. Maybe he did.
Who?
Gordon?
Gordon, man. Just took pictures.
I know, you were on the first 10 years.
I don't know if anybody ever took movies up there or not.
We got one person. We've got a 4-minute piece. So when you see the world premiere of the Stateline movie...
Was it Blackmer?
No.
No.
I got one of Blackmer someplace. There's somebody borrowed it in the sportsman car.
Was that right? That would be cool.
Years ago.
Kurt Thorpe
Yeah.
told me that he's got a 9-minute film that Denny Chase had. Denny Chase got this film out of your garage down here on the corner that you guys had when you guys sold the garage or whatever you did. And Denny has a 9-minute film from 1959. We've seen 4 minutes of it already. And we think maybe Lloyd had something to do with hiring somebody to come up and take some pictures, take some film of the racetrack. You don't remember anything like that, huh?
Like I say, I can remember Blackmer sportsman car, and I had I was looking. That's what I had a bunch of tape. But I don't ever know, it wasn't long, the whole race or nothing, but, I know somebody told me the other day it had some,